Hi, my name is Sergey. I'm the Chief Product Officer of Basis ID, and today I will take you on a journey around our Customer Relations Management platform, a dashboard that we provide to our customers for the onboarding and verification side of our business. It was designed in order to unite risk, compliance, and customer support people into one dashboard and to provide them with all the necessary means for the data management. Obviously, the system comes hand by hand with the filtering tools and arrangement in order to enable the compliance risk department and also customer support people to pinpoint specific target groups by the different endpoints of the verifications, such as date created, Basis ID verification status, the verification status set by your company specifically, KYC endpoints, which information was uploaded, what wasn't uploaded, what has been successfully verified or was declined of verification. You can also pinpoint target groups by country of their citizenship and mailing address as well, by gender, by the screening endpoints, by different companies. If you have a complicated onboarding flow where you have different programs or different companies onboarded to the same dashboard, to the same environment. On top of that, there's obviously arrangements, and it can be saved into templates for the ease of redundancy and reuse of the same filters. So that enables the compliance people to perform their tasks more conveniently than usual. We perform identity verification from end to end, and we specialize in building custom onboarding flows. This is what we excel at, and especially we excel at covering non-Latin character documents. Basis ID provides two main ways of integration. First of all, we have API available, as well as Web Widget, or in other words, Web SDK. Alternatively, you can have a hybrid approach in which certain information is passed on to us through API, and then the rest is being collected by the widget. The widget itself is a JavaScript library that is easily integratable through just 3 snippets of HTML code that you need to embed into the correct parts of your web page. The widget is set up in a way to allow the customer to understand everything to the best extent possible. Therefore, we support multiple languages and we can expand those quite timely. Widget always shows all of the things that the customer will need during the verification. We generally accept 3 types of documents: passports, ID cards, and driver licenses. And we can have 3 main ways of submitting this information. We can access the camera of the device, we can use upload function, and also transfer the capture of the images to a different device through a QR code. We always show the instruction of what the customer needs to submit to us, as well as tips of what they need to avoid. Same is applied to the video verification. We go with the video verification as our standard approach to biometrics instead of selfie, which is standard in the industry. We also show all of the instruction to the recording of the video. We request the customer to record them from the front, then turn their head to the left and to the right, and also show the identity document to the camera in order to ensure that they are the holder of the identity document. The widget always ends up with the encrypt button that lets the customer know that all information is encrypted and is being sent to Basis ID. As a whole, the widget is quite customizable. We can add additional steps and features of the verification, like collecting name, gender, birthday, country, or other personal information from the customer, changing the standard approach of video biometric check to a selfie, or add features like address verification or proof of income verification. So, document verification and identity verification as a whole is a complicated task of verifying different endpoints, and for that we have composed a bespoke customer profile within our CRM, which can be easily accessed from the dashboard in form of those cards for the sneak peek of the information about the client, such as company it comes from, document expiration date, the date this profile was created, whether it was moderated by anybody, and different endpoints of the KYC and AML verification, which is also duplicated inside the profile in the sidebar of the screen. On the top, what you can see is a brief summary of the customer information, which includes user hash, the unique identifier of the customer within our environment, company it came from, date of creation, any kind of manual fields that they have filled up or that the company has sent to us for verification, the results of the document optical character recognition or machine readable zone extraction. This information is directly compared with whatever information we have received from the company, as well as contact data. In a particular case, email and phone is missing because it wasn't filled up and it wasn't verified, but this is also something that we do on a daily basis for our clients. When we're talking about document verification, what we have is, first of all, we validate the structure of the document to ensure that we have some sort of a document in front of us, and then the verification itself happens. So what happens is that we extract the data. If we have machine readable zone available, the extraction will commit through it. If we don't have a machine readable zone by design of the document, then the data extraction will commence through the photo itself. The system will optically character recognize the written text, and it will also populate the fields that are missing. Also, when we're talking about document verification, we need to make sure that we have a valid document without any spoofing, and for that we have a fake detection attached to the verification of the document. In order to show you the exact example, I would need to switch to another profile within our system, which was indeed altered in the Photoshop. So what we have in the fake detection tab is average distance analysis, which analyzes how far the pixels are from the surface of the image, basically of the lens. And this is a tool that detects any kind of layering of the file of the image. And as you can see, the face and this number 1, it doesn't belong to the original image, as it's been detected that it's on a separate layer, and the system highlights it for the ease of understanding this information by anybody reviewing the profile. Next tool is the error level analysis. This is the tool that detects blending effects, color correction, etc. And you can literally see where the blending effect has happened on the face. It also detects that the one was indeed not belonging to the original image. Next tool is what I assume and what I think is the best tool in our cohort with fake detection. It's called copy move, and it does exactly what it says. The system analyzes the whole of the image and then finds exact areas with the same pixels. So as you can see, it has highlighted the zeros, these 3s, some anomalies are on top where the name is, anomalies here and here. So let me explain one by one what does it mean. One of those zeros was copied and pasted over another number. So in that case, unfortunately, we can't tell what was copied and moved, but we can definitely tell that there was copy move done. Therefore, we can with confidence say that this document was altered in the Photoshop. Same goes for this highlight. It says 2033. In original, it was supposed to say 2023. So this is one of the common use cases of what fraudsters do when they try to onboard to platforms that we provide the service to. It's because it's one of the easiest things how you can alter the document. You copy one of the numbers and then paste it over into another place to alter the document. This tool also allows us to detect cover-ups. As you can see, there are certain anomalies here, here, and here. They come from covering up the information that was in there before. So in case of the surname of this person, there was OV covered. There was another number covered in the end of the personal code number, and also the documents number was also covered up in the picture that we had submitted. Next tool is the luminance gradient analysis. This tool has dual nature. First of all, it allows us to detect security features of the document, such as holograms. They're much more highlighted than in the original image. That's one. And the second approach to the luminance gradient is that it allows us to detect photos and videos that are taken from the screen on another device. This is also another common fraud case where people buy documents and videos online, but because they don't have a physical representation of that document on them, what they have to do is to take a photo from the screen of another device. And if you have ever tried to do so, then you must have noticed that wavy pattern appearing on the video or photos, which distorts the image, and we are catching exactly that. Apart from the fake detection tools, we also have comparison with sample, in which our system analyzes the structure of the document and finds the best matching documents across our sample database. So let me decrypt a bit of information on the screen. It shows that the document was determined to be from Estonia, that we have 6 ID cards in our sample database coming from Estonia specifically, because the document type was considered as ID card, therefore the comparison is done only against the ID cards. We have similarity, we have found similarity with one of the ID card documents in our database, and it also shows the quantitative analysis of how many features and points have matched across those documents and samples. So in particular case, there was 76 points or features that have matched. If we remove the machine readable zone of the document, which is for the most part very unanimous and gives a lot of matches, then it's only 66, but still well above the threshold that we would set up for this comparison. And also the system tells the final result is that it considers that this is an authentic identity card coming from Estonia. With this, our document check is completed. The only thing that is tied directly to the documents is duplicate check and also the video and biometric comparison. So what does a duplicate check means is that we are capable of tracking duplicate account creations with us by multiple parameters. First of all, we can use the customer data to compare whether we have already had this customer onboarded by us. Secondly, we can use the document number as an alternative way of finding duplicates. Therefore, we would be checking whether we already had that document submitted for us by the document number. And the third approach is when we also do the fingerprint of the device, in which we can tell whether there was multiple accounts created from the same device, which is another feature that we use to track fraudulent attempts, i.e. if there was 5 or 10 different accounts created from the same device in a short time period, most likely that we can tell that there's some kind of fraud involved into that actions. So when I'm talking about document, I also considered that it's touching video and what happens with the video and what video is in general with us. So Basis ID by default is performing biometric comparison and liveness check by acquiring a video of the client. We ask the client to record a video where they look forward, then perform a liveness check action and also show the document to the camera. This is done in order to confirm that we have an authentic person in front of us, i.e. liveness check, and also for the various multiple reasons apart from that. So first of all, finding a video like that from the internet is much harder than just finding a selfie. Then altering a video is much harder job than photoshopping just a photo of the person. And also currently, by the regulatory requirements and by a lot of countries, the video verification is already adopted. Therefore, we believe that this trend is going to take over the whole of Europe first and then move over to the rest of the world. Therefore, we've been doing it for 2 years already, and our algorithms are much more advanced than our competition. So what happens with the video once we have actually received it? First of all, our system is extracting 500 frames from the video and is analyzing them by building a 3D model of the head. So first of all, there is a liveness check involved. So what we do is that the system analyzes frame by frame what happens and how the customer behaves. So we detect in this particular case that the customer has done left turn and it was done in a sequence. Then they also performed the right turn of the head, which was their approach to the liveness check. and that it also was done in a sequence. We are capable of detecting blinks if those 500 frames that were extracted contain closed eyes, and the very next and very previous frame had an open eye, then we consider that as a blink. We also track how many total faces has been extracted and whether there was anybody else in the video. On top of that, our liveness check is also supplemented with the spoofing detection. So with a certain level of confidence, we can tell whether this video footage was altered in any way. With that, our liveness check is done, and we move on to the biometric recognition and comparison itself. So as I said, there is document involved because the comparison is done against the portrait on the document. So our system cuts out the portrait from the identity document, which you can observe here. This is how it sees the portrait on the document. And then it also shows you the samples of the frames that were selected for the biometric recognition and comparison, the ones that have successfully matched and the ones that have failed. All in all, this video verification approach allows us to, with a much confidence, say whether this person is exactly the person that is holding the identity document that they're trying to get verified with. So again, to wrap it up, we received the video, cut 500 frames, analyze them for the liveness check, and then select frames for the biometric recognition and matching, after which we can also tell whether the face comparison has been successfully passed by the customer. Another layer of our solution is that we are capable of verifying the address. So we perform address verification by acquiring a proof of address document from the customer. Most usually it's utility bill or bank statement, or generally speaking any kind of governmental correspondence and third-party correspondence that is trustworthy. So what happens with the address verification is that we have the populated fields that were filled by the clients, and our system extracts the text from the image of the document to then fuzzy match it with the information in the profile. So we have name in the profile, address in the profile, and the result of the fuzzy match against the data in the statement in the proof of address document. Another layer is that we validate the existence of such address by running it through the web of our services and APIs that we are connected to ensure that this address actually exists and is valid. We also are capable of performing email verification and phone verification, which is not the main scope of our business, but generally our clients really appreciate a one-stop solution. Therefore, we are capable of also performing those tasks. Last but not least of the main endpoints of the verification is the screening, AML screening that we perform. We perform screening through third-party providers because that would be enormous task to create a screening database by ourselves. We have connections with Refinitiv, Experian, and Dow Jones on that part. So what's important about our AML screening is that we're not like any other provider. We have our own means of mitigating false positives, and we will be doing that on your behalf, whereas our competition doesn't. So what's there to discuss and why our AML screening is so robust? First of all, you will be able to observe all of the records that were successfully matched inside the customer profile, and you would be able to also see the ones that were already mitigated by the wrong gender or birthday of the person. So what's available from the data here, and what are the capabilities with the screening list? Obviously, you can pinpoint different target groups, again, by the strength of the match, by the statuses, whether it was cleared, whether it was still pending for clearing, whether it was cleared by the system. As I said, it is an automatic tool that we have designed in order to combat false positives of the AML screening, by date and by arrangement as well. So we have key data available, match term, different aliases, additional info such as age, gender, and in certain occasions it's date of birth. Some records contain more information, some less. Obviously, let's say terrorists will not disclose their date of birth. Therefore, because most of those databases are composed by net scraping, the information is sometimes incomplete. Therefore, we had to develop our mitigation tools in accordance with the environment. Additionally, to the key data, you would be able to observe connections. So typically, it is a reason why this person is on this list. So in particular case, this person was formerly listed as a terrorist by the Financial Monitoring Services of Russian Federation. Or let's say in this case, this person is on the list because he's a member of the judicial board on administrative cases in regional court in Russia. So you would be able to always see why this person is on the list, as well as observe sources, i.e. PDFs or links to the sources of where this record is coming from. What's more important is our filtering tool. As you can see, certain records already have system cleared hits. There are certain percentages and data that is on the screen, and let me explain what tools and how we actually mitigate those false positives. So to begin with, let me select a profile with a big percentage match. So we have a threshold in our system that allows us to tell that after a certain threshold, the system should not consider the record as a true positive. So how it happens is that we compare the name directly in between the match term and the name that was submitted for us or extracted from the document. So in particular case, you can see that 93% likeness between the name and where the 93% comes from. You can see that the spelling of the name differs by just one letter, and across the whole of the name, this one letter equals to 7% of the whole name. Therefore, the matching and likeness is 93%. So how we use that number is we can select a threshold and tell the system after which it should consider the record as true positive. So by default, it's 80%. But if we, let's say, set it to 100% in the particular instance, then this record would definitely be system cleared hit. On top of that, we have additional information such as age, such as gender, and they are used for the mitigation as well. So with gender, it's quite straightforward. If the gender doesn't match, the system considers this record as a false positive. And then also with the age, there is another threshold that we have. So because we sometimes don't have a full date of birth, or sometimes we only have age of the person, in some cases it will be like 1993, 1994 as a gap in which the person was born. So what we do with that is we can tell the system the maximum difference it can allow in between the date of birth of the customer that is trying to get onboarded and the person in the records. So the maximum, if the maximum difference is set for 2 years, that means, let's say on particular case, I was born in 1993. So anything in between 1991 and 1995 in those records would be considered as true positive. So these three filtering tools allow us to mitigate the false positives automatically. And then also we would be reviewing all of the rest by the manual review, which allows us to also mitigate it by reviewing the profile even after the system considers it as true positive. This is part of our approach to the verification as a whole, and it's important to notice is that we are using a hybrid approach to verification. So what does it mean? We allow the system to onboard as many clients as possible. Therefore, if there are no red flags, no any kind of highlights, no need for manual review, the system will onboard them without any hassle. If the system has highlighted something, at least something, in this particular case it's AML screening, then such profile will be forwarded for the manual review. We do that in order to mitigate as many false positives and false negatives as possible, and to provide a hassle-free onboarding flow to the end customer, because the less they need to take, the less actions they need to take, the better it is for everybody. So if we can override the decision of the system and make an approval, then we will certainly will. What it also means is that any kind of borderline cases that will be reviewed by us will also be we will also be able to provide immediate customer support to that person. In any way, certain amount of customers will fail at their first attempt of the verification simply because they're not so familiar with the KYC, or their document was expired, or let's say there was a big highlight stain on the image of the document and we didn't manage to read the information that is required by the legislation. So the person reviewing the profile will first pay attention to any kind of highlights, to any kind of red flag alerts from the system, and if the system was correct in forwarding this person to the manual review because something was not sufficient, then our compliance officers, which are going through a thorough training and are doing verifications on a daily basis, they will be issuing a request to that person. So what does a request means? Our compliance officers can tell exactly what was wrong about the application that we have received from that customer. Let's say the passport and ID card photo, it didn't have required data doesn't match, or the quality of photo was unacceptable. Based on that, we already have a number of preset templates for our compliance officers to use, and they can select the specific issue with the application of the specific client. Upon clicking send request, by the API connections, there will be a request sent onto your backend, which you would be able to receive and then interpret in the way you would like to do so. Basically, you would need to show that to the customer that their application was reviewed, that something was insufficient, and also show the exact reason why they were declined and what they need to do in order to be verified. All of this is stored in the requests, so any kind of login, any kind of changes to the information, we are tracking that. So in particular case with requests, we will have a separate tab for the requests. We have a separate tab for the history of any kind of status changes, whether they were done manually, whether they were done automatically, when the customer data was uploaded, when it was changed, etc. What is important to mention about our solution is that we have the requesting functionality thanks to our architecture. So what it means is that when we have a client first registering with our platform, they receive a unique user hash which should stay with them throughout the lifetime on the platform that they want to onboard to. So it doesn't matter how many times they would try verification, or let's say if sometime on, let's say a year or two, we would need to re-KYC this person, then any kind of information would end up in the same profile. We're tracking history, of requests, and on top of that we also have comment section that allows to keep all of the communication about the specific client within one environment. We consider that we need to do any kind of safeguards against data leakage, and the data in terms of data protection we need to do as much as we can. Therefore, in any kind of communication, we recommend to be using user hash, and if there's specific discussion is required to be had about specific client, then you can use the comment section within the profile and only share the user hash, which is completely anonymous. Apart from that, we can also upload custom blacklists to our system, as certain companies don't want to deal with specific clients. So this custom blacklist can be added on top of our solution, which will be part of the AML screening. We also have a bespoke risk scoring, which is based on different endpoints of verification, such as whether the document had a photo on it, whether the extraction of the machine-readable zone has been done, whether the validation has been passed, whether the customer has passed the biometric comparison and matching, how well they did at liveness check, and the quantitative analysis of the spoofing detection. All of those endpoints are considered in the risk scoring, and this tab, what I'm showing you right now, allows us to adjust that score chart, adjust the frequency of the reviews, So how often this person will be re-KYC'd or rescreened against AML databases. And we also are capable of adjusting legal form risk, product form risk, and industry risk in cases when we have multiple programs or multiple sides of business connected to the same environment, to the same dashboard. If we go back to the dashboard, to the main page, you can see that the company, and we can choose we can onboard different programs to the same main admin account pretty much. All of that also comes with the access level management, so different employees and different roles within the company will only have access to the specific areas of the CRM. On top of all of our features and advantages, we have stuff like reports. We track all of the audit logs, so any changes to the settings of the specific programs are audited and logged for the sake of compliance and reporting functionality. We're also tracking authentication. We can set up a direct synchronization with the servers of yours via SFTP to have databases basically in sync. And also important thing about AML risk rating, which I kind of forgot, is the country scores. So the adjustment of the risk rating comes with the coefficient for the countries as well. And we take Basel AML index as the baseline of that scoring, but we can also adjust that score in accordance with the needs of our clients. As I mentioned, in general, our solution is designed to, first of all, cater to the needs of our clients and also making the life of the risk, compliance, and customer support agents easier. Our goal is to achieve a close to instant, transparent, and eventually free verification of customers for our clients. And we want to enable the growth of any customer that we ever onboard, because that ensures the growth of ourselves. With that, I believe the short demo of our solution is over. I thank you for your attention, and I'm really hoping to continue our conversations and hoping for a long-lasting relationship.